Gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's March the 16th, 2023. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined today by Izubee Charles himself and Matt Shodell as we discuss the news of the day. And the news of today is that the Miami Hurricanes basketball team is in Albany, New York, getting ready to play Drake tomorrow night in the first round of the NCAA tournament. And I'll be heading up there later today and looking forward to it. But the big news came out of practice yesterday when we walked in. Matt, you and I were there, and Norchad Omier is like out there moving around without any really evidence of his injury. He's shooting the ball unbelievably well, doing lateral movements, things like that. His ankle was taped, but nothing too crazy that would be out of the ordinary. And I walked out of there, even though Jim Larrañaga, in his media availability later, hedged a little bit. Matt, I walked out of there totally convinced that there is no question that Norchad will be on the court Friday night for the Canes game at 7:30 in the evening. And he looked to me like he is making great progress and should be, if not 100%, because I don't know that that's reality, but certainly 80%.
Well, I don't know your definition of lateral movements, but it's different than the rest of the world because there was no lateral movements. What he was doing was standing and shooting, but he was putting pressure on the injured ankle and jumping slightly. We didn't see him jump for a rebound. We didn't see him run and jump. We didn't see him do what other people in the world would call a lateral movement. He was
moving side to side.
He was simply standing in place. No, he really wasn't. He was simply standing in
doing
place. He would walk. Yeah, he would walk.
You were taking a nap at the time. I mean, you were sleeping over there on the
walking
bench.
around, fine. He was putting pressure on the ankle, fine. He didn't seem worse for wear at all. And I said to you at the time, I said, I don't understand why Miami opened up practice to us to let Drake know that, or Indiana know that Norchad seems to be fine. I mean, I don't know the benefit of that to the program, to which Gary responded, they don't care. So I guess
I'm going to tell you the benefits of it. It's Jim Larrañaga and his respect for March Madness and what it is, and the fact that people all over the world are making brackets and they want to know if Miami is going to be at full speed in this tournament, and respect for the fact that they are going to play a basketball game. And this is not the time of the season to play games with people and create unnecessary mystery over whether one of their players is going to be on the court. So that's what he's doing. He is respecting the game. He is respecting the event, the happening that March Madness is and what it means to so many people. And Izubee Charles, tell the truth, you made your brackets out and you penciled in Miami a winner over Drake on Friday night purely because you know that Norchad is going to be on the court.
Yeah, I did pencil them in for that Friday night victory, but after those opening rounds, I'm hoping Norchad's at full strength because it gets a little bit more difficult than Drake. But right now, the focus is on Drake. And just seeing that video of Norchad, I saw someone on Twitter quote tweet our post and was like, "This is just made my whole day seeing him out there." So, I mean, I feel like Coach L did open the practice to say, "Hey guys, this is the reality. This is what we're doing. We're not doing anything behind closed doors." I feel like this whole season hasn't been that type of coach kind of hiding things. He's been real open with the public, with the media. So that's something I really like about Coach L. But Norchad's able to go full strength, which he probably isn't. I'd say maybe 70, 80 at best. I feel like Miami has a really good chance against Drake. I mean, I picked them in every single bracket that I put. But hopefully by the time that second, third round comes along, he's kind of much better. He knows how to play on that ankle because he's not going to be able to play it the same way he usually does. He's going to have to adjust his game a bit. So I want to see how he does that against Drake and continue on the tournament to get that win on Friday.
He was shooting the ball unbelievable at practice. I was amazed. I mean, he had his balance. He was just training them one after the other. In fact, at one point, Coach Larrañaga looked over to us and was like, wow, I guess shooting's not a problem. And we'll talk about this in a minute, but I was impressed in this half hour that we spent in the gym with the team at how well the entire team was shooting the ball. These guys look very focused to me. They're shooting the ball very, very well right now. And if they can carry that into this tournament this weekend, I think it's going to bode well for their results, because they looked like a rock solid basketball team the way they were shooting. Now, nobody's guarding them, whatever. They were just practicing 3-point shots, but the percentages were insane, top to bottom across the whole team. Even guys like AJ Casey was making like 8 out of 10. I mean, they were shooting the ball very, very well as a team in general. And that tells me that they are focused on the task at hand and they're ready to go. But so I get what Matt's saying. Okay. He's old school, emphasis on the old. And he thinks that, okay, like you don't tell the world, you don't tell the opponents that your injured player is healthy. You leave the mystery out there, you make them prepare for you in multiple ways and things like that. But to me, and I, before I really thought it through, I asked Coach L, I said, because it was, we're obviously so happy that he lets us watch practice. And I said, Jim, like, are you okay with us talking, about Norchad? And he's like, you're here. And all right. And when Matt and I started tweeting away and posting away on the message boards and everything to tell everybody that Norchad is looking pretty good out there in practice yesterday. But then when I started to think about it, I came around to where my opinion stands now, which is I think Jim Larrañaga truly does respect what March Madness is, and the millions on top of millions of people that are trying to pick these games. And Miami's not going to win or lose on Friday night because Drake knows or doesn't know that Norchad's probably going to play. I mean, if they have a brain, they're thinking they are assuming he's going to play. I mean, the whole world is on the line starting Friday night. I mean, I think it would be a safe assumption that if he can walk at all, he's going to play. But I don't think, Matt, in all seriousness, that exposing that info jeopardizes in any way how the team will play in the game.
Well, as usual, you're out of your mind. You use your whole Dickie V voice like you're some sort of, 80-year-old.
Hey, don't make fun of Dickie V, baby. He picked the Canes to go to the Elite Eight. Jimmy L. I'm a believer in Jimmy L.
I love Dickie V. I just talked to him. It was a funny story. I actually got his number from Jim Martz, essentially. I got a number for a family member, gave me his number. I just
over there in the Martz household.
I cold called Dickie V, and he answers the phone, and I'm like, "It's Matt Shodell." I assume you want to talk to me, right?
It's Matty. It's Matty S from the 305, Dickie V.
Nobody
I want to talk about the Canes, baby.
Nobody on the show wants to hear you this excited. Okay, you're giving me a headache. Stop being so excited. Be more like me. Depressed.
I just think it's great. I can just imagine you
just be depressed. Just be depressed and lonely like everyone else who's a Miami Hurricanes fan right now. Okay, football fan. Anyway, Dickie V was the nicest guy in the world. I mean, he at first, apparently for some bizarre reason, he doesn't know who I am. He thought I was a radio host. He's like, I don't have time for a whole show right now. I'm like, no, I'm just a schmuck who works for like this little tiny thing in Miami. I'm just writing a story, about why you picked Miami to the Elite Eight. He goes, oh yeah, sure, and he was great. Anyway, that's neither here nor there, because what I was trying to say before that is Jim Larrañaga.
Sure? Did he really say sure?
Yeah, he did.
You don't think he really meant I'm letting my number get out to too many people. I need to change my number, do you?
I don't think so. Whatever. I wasn't concerned about it. I got my story done, and that was it. I took my nap, got back to work. So here's the thing. If I'm the Miami Hurricanes coach, my job is to win games. My job isn't to respect the process. My job isn't to respect the NCAA tournament's history. My job is to let my players be in the best position to win a national championship. And to me, what Jim Larrañaga did was brilliant, because if Norchad Omier isn't out there, if we don't see him do anything, Drake is probably going to spend a lot more time looking at AJ Casey and a lot more time looking at Walker both of whom I think are major weaknesses compared to Drake's inside strength. And they would spend a lot more time designing plays to expose those two guys in this game. If I had to guess, Norchad maybe plays in the game. If I had to guess, Norchad maybe plays half the game at most, And if I had to guess, they're trying to save him as much as possible for an Indiana team that has a tremendous amount of size. And if Norchad tweaks that ankle at all on Friday and can't go on Sunday, kiss the national championship chances, kiss the Elite Eight chances, heck, kiss the Sweet 16 chances, goodbye. They can't afford to let him tweak it on Friday. Why would you risk it? The guy's not cleared today. Jim Larinaga clearly told us trainers have not cleared him. Gary says he's running laterally. Gary says he's jumping out of the gym. Gary says he's never seen somebody hit so many 4-point shots because Gary thinks there's 4-pointers apparently. Then Norchad Omier was hitting in practice yesterday. Okay? The guy's still not cleared. Jim Larinaga showed him to us to show that he looks really good. I expect him to be ready to go on Sunday. Friday, if I'm Jim Larinaga, I'm sitting him on the bench to start the game. I'm hoping the game's in hand by halftime. And if it's not, and you got to play him in the second half, you got to do what you got to do. But that's what I do if I'm trying to help my team win a championship, not to respect the process and respect the NCAA tournament by letting everyone know what your team can and can't do.
Bulletin, red alert, Izubee. Let's talk some sense into this guy. All right, Matt, they're 2.5-point favorites.
You want to know how bad things are at Miami right now? I walked into practice. I walked right up to Jim Larinaga yesterday, okay? And I said to Jim Larinaga, hey, Jim, I'm here to help coach practice. Do you know what Jim Larinaga said to me? He said, go right ahead. This program's going nowhere. He wanted me to help coach.
Hey, he asked me to referee. He asked me to referee two practices ago. Oh, actually, Izubee was there.
And then I looked out when he told me I could coach. I'm like, that's okay, coach.
They had a close call. They had a close call. They were kind of scrimmaging, and they had a close call. And he asked Izubee and I to make the call. Yeah, I called it a foul. It was a foul in that situation. I think Izubee agreed. All right, but listen, seriously, they are 2.5-point favorites. Okay, this is not something that you play around with. This is a generational team that already got screwed out of the, hey, don't interrupt. This is a generational team that already got screwed out of winning the ACC tournament, okay? Because they were the best team in the ACC, and they were going to win that tournament if Norchad doesn't land on that guy's ankle in the worst way possible, and his ankle turns sideways, and he'd never been injured before in his life, and everything went haywire in his mind and his body and everything. So they were the best team in the ACC, but now that means nothing here. They are 2.5-point favorites over a dangerous Drake team. This is nothing to mess with, Izubee. You played a lot of ball growing up. There was a time where you were going to be a hooper that was going to play in March Madness. So you can relate to this. You do not take this game for granted on Friday night under any circumstance. And the fact that you're only a 2.5-point favorite and the guys in Vegas know everything tells you this will probably be a close game, and you can't rest Norchad Omier in this game.
Yeah, Drake is a very scary team the more that I look into them. I mean, if they weren't playing Miami, I would have probably picked them as my 12 seed kind of Cinderella type of guys. But I just feel like Miami with Norchad can kind of, calm that storm that they're building up, because a lot of people are saying, hey, Drake's going to upset Miami. Hey, he's good, all this good stuff about them. So even in the comments today on one of our TikToks and Instagram, you guys should follow us on TikTok and Instagram if you haven't already. Someone's like, all this, Norchad coming back just to get upset by Drake. So I'm just thinking like, wow, a lot of people behind Drake. Vegas is behind Drake. I mean, Drake makes good music. Let's see if the basketball is as good as the music is. So we just got to, I said we like I'm on the team. The Hurricanes just have to buckle down and really just calm this storm that Drake's building up behind them and kind of move forward in that tournament.
Man, this is a lot of effort getting to Albany and all this. If I'm going up there to watch them lose to Drake, I'm going to be really upset. I'll tell you. But I do see why that you have the key to the Watsco Center in your back pocket all the time, that you can go in there at midnight and turn on the lights and play pickup games with your friends, because you would not dream of picking against Miami in any of your brackets, and that's good to hear. Considering I mean, it doesn't stop Matt, but like, at least you as a young member of our team, huh?
Right. It's easy for any Miami person to just pick Miami to win everything. I mean,
Well,
it's easy.
What did you pick
It's
in your
hard.
bracket?
What's hard is to not do it. What's hard is to look at the reality of the situation. What's hard is to say, you know what? Drake's a guard-dominated team. Indiana's a huge team that doesn't even shoot threes and tries to go inside every time. But Gary, you think that Norchad's the key to the first game. Norchad's not the key to the first game. The key to the first game is Jordan Miller playing defense on an NBA prospect who basically is Drake. Okay? If Jordan Miller plays good defense, if they play good defense on that kid, they win. If they don't, they lose. It's got nothing to do with Norchad grabbing rebounds if Drake's missing shots. They can grab rebounds anyway. Drake's not that big. Indiana is a ginormous team. 2 first-round guys who are both enormous. That's the team where if you don't have Norchad, you're going to lose. Not this game. And the 2.5-point line, it cracks me up. Miami's got this whole TikTok thing, this whole Twitter thing. Keep picking against us, everybody. They're favored to win. They've been ranked in the top 15. What are they talking about? Like, I get the us against the world thing, but don't make it up out of nowhere. You're favored to win. You should win. Nobody's picking against you. Just ask Izubee and Gary. If you want to say Matt Shodell's picking against us, say that. But don't say keep picking against us to everybody out there. Everybody thinks Miami's going to beat Drake for the most part. I believe that. I have Miami beating Drake. I don't have Miami beating Indiana because I'm not sure about Norchad. If I find out before the first game tips off today that Norchad's 100% great, I will pick Miami to beat Indiana. But an 80% Norchad Omier is not good enough to beat Indiana. I've been watching a lot of Indiana's games, believe it or not, because A, my son's at Wisconsin. B, I have friends whose kids are at Indiana who I talk to at length about their team. There are some serious matchup problems Miami's going to have in that game, and I'm very concerned about it if Norchad's not literally 100%, because even with Norchad 100%, that's a team that's just going to grind you and knock you down, and penetration against those big guys, athletic big guys. It reminds me of that Miami game early in the year, that the only game they got really brutally beaten. I think it was by Maryland, right? Am I right about that? Was Maryland?
Yeah, Maryland.
Like, this is a similar team with those big athletic guys. The 7-foot guys that can't move don't worry me because Miami will draw fouls on them and hit the shot also. The big 6'10" athletic guys that Indiana has are going to cause problems when Isaiah Wong penetrates, when Jordan Miller tries to get in that little 10 to 15-foot area. If Nigel Pack's not hitting those threes from half court that he loves to take, like, there's going to be a problem.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you there, but so what did you do on your brackets, Matt?
I told you Miami winning the first round. Right now, I have them losing to Indiana because that's the truth. That's what's going to happen if Norchad's not 100. If he's 100, it's still going to be close, but I think Miami can pull it out.
So you picked them to lose to Indiana in round 2. Admit it.
I just said I did. I'm not going to lie to people. Yeah.
How about your wife?
I'm not here to make things easy for myself. If I wanted things to be easy, I'll just say Miami's going to win and go to the Elite Eight like everyone thinks they're going to, because that's what fans expect us to do. But I just look at the facts and I try to be like a reporter, not a fan. My reporter hat says they lose to Indiana. My fan hat says they win the national championship, and I'll be at the parade, okay?
They don't want you to pick them anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Exactly. I'm doing them a favor.
What'd your wife do? What'd your wife do? Which way did she go?
I haven't looked at I don't look at her bracket. I don't know what she does.
How about your kids? Did your kids
go
pick
ask
the
her?
Canes?
I'll go wake her up and ask her.
Did the kids pick the Canes?
Yeah, we have some family bracket, but you know what? I don't like looking at their picks. Honestly, I hate looking at my family's bracket because when they finish better than me, because let's face it, a lot of these are just random luck at the last second. They like, you're a sports reporter and I got a better bracket than you. Like, my wife picks her favorite city and she gets a better bracket than me. It's embarrassing. So I don't want to look at it. I want to pretend it doesn't exist. I will never look at their brackets, and I will pretend that I don't even know what they're talking about when they say they got a better bracket than me. I don't care.
All right, we're 19 minutes in, and I know that there's a segment of our viewer base out there that's sitting there saying, all right, guys, enough basketball. Let's get back to football. And we are in tune to that. So we're going to shift gears right now and somehow talk football, even though the week of spring practice, they're off this week. So there's nothing going on with the football team. But we decided today to take a look at 5 things that we collectively, us, the fans, won't learn about the Canes defense and special teams this spring. And it is a tricky spring, Matt. I mean, you got a lot of injuries out there. This is in no way resembling what this team is going to look like in September. Guys like Mark Fletcher are not yet on campus, and he's got a great chance to start at running back if he can pick up the system quickly. So, it's very, very, very difficult for us to get a real read on the team. But we thought today we would take a look at 5 of the main things on the defensive side of the ball, along with special teams that we are just not going to be able to glean this spring. And I'll just touch on a few of them. I mean, it starts with James Williams. Will he be in the box more often than not in this Lance Guidry defense? And this is something that we have debated so much on this show, guys. Is James Williams a true safety? He wants to be. He wants to be Sean Taylor. Does he have Sean Taylor potential? Does he have the skill set to really excel? Does he tackle well enough to be a safety? These are all legitimate questions about James Williams. So, Matt, your thoughts just on the whole James Williams situation. He's missing spring due to injury. You got a new defensive coordinator coming in, new schemes. Answer your own question. Is he going to be in the box more often than not, like he was with Kevin Steele and Manny Diaz?
Well, first of all, the whole genesis of this, we started it yesterday with 5 things you're not going to learn about the offense. The whole purpose of these 2 stories was just to annoy fans. I was thinking to myself, what would annoy fans more than saying, here's what you're not going to find out, here's what you're not going to know, so keep on tuning to CaneSport, here's what we're not going to tell you all spring. So that was the idea behind the 2 stories, and I just came up with some stupid ideas, James Williams being one of them. I mean, of course he's going to be in the box. Is he going to be in the box more than half the time? Yeah. Is he going to blitz a lot? Yeah. They'll tell him he's a safety, but he's going to be in the box a lot. If you watch Lance Guidry's defense, at Marshall, there was always 3 linebackers, even though he runs a 4-2-5. And guess what? That third linebacker's a safety a lot of times. So he's going to be that guy because Cam Kinchens is not as physical. Cam Kinchens is great in coverage, and Cam Kinchens is great, sort of instinctively knowing where to be on the back end, and he's a great tackler, a better tackler than James Williams. So it makes perfect sense out of your 2 safeties to have James Williams in the box a lot. And I wouldn't be surprised, quite honestly, if they try to convince some safety during the next open portal period to come here and tell them they could be a starter, because he runs a 4-2-5. And if James Williams, if they can convince somebody out there that James Williams is going to be in the box a lot, and you can be part of this amazing secondary, with these other 2 great safeties, maybe they can get lucky because they have no safety depth behind these 2 guys. And James Williams is getting shoulder injuries every year. I mean, they need more than, to me, more than Brian Ballum. I know Brian Ballum might be decent, but I mean, let's face it, Brian Ballum already tried to transfer once. He might try to transfer again in the second period. Who knows? We'll see if Lance Guidry convinced him that he'll be the guy who plays a lot because of his type of defense. But to me, they need another high-quality safety on the team for sure.
Izubee?
I'm going to pull a Matt Shodell here. Yep, I agree.
I mean, when you look at James
Williams, a Matt Shodell is no, I don't agree, by the way, Izubee, but whatever.
I mean, you've had a chance to watch James Williams playing safety now for a full season up close. Mm-hmm. Does he look like a safety to you, or is it smart to use him in the box?
I feel like with his size and ability, I mean, using him wherever he can impact the game the most is the best option with him, honestly. And with Lance Guidry's specialty being safeties, I feel like putting your trust in wherever he says you belong is kind of the best thing, too, with him coming in with that. I coach safety backgrounds. It's always, safety with him. So I feel like wherever James can be utilized to get the most out of him is where he should play, whether that's in the box or that's back there with Cam Kitchens, whether you have to line him up a defensive end or even quarterback, wherever he can, produce the most and help this team out is where I feel like where James should be at.
All right, we're not going to talk about all 5 topics that we pulled out. You guys can read that in the story, but there was one other one that I thought was interesting that I wanted to address, and that was, can Lance Guidry fully implement his entire defense in time for the season in September? And we spoke to him a couple weeks ago, guys, and he told us that he was hoping that he could get 60% of his playbook installed in spring practice, and then kind of revisit where they're at and think about the other 40% and what he wants to install. Now, they ran into some troubles last year with Kevin Steele with the playbook. And Kevin Steele has a bigger playbook than Lance Guidry, I'm pretty sure. But Kevin Steele found out the hard way, because of all the mental busts that were taking place early in the season, that he had to tighten it up a lot. And I don't know what the percentage was of his defense, the Kevin Steele defense that he was able to use. But it was not even close to 100%. Probably wasn't even close to 75%. And he had to, as they got into the middle of the season, shrink it and focus on the things that he felt that they were doing well. Is there a reason, and Izubee or Matt, you guys can take this, but is there a reason to believe that Lance Guidry can simplify his concepts and his schemes and have a greater degree of success than Kevin Steele had in installing a larger portion of his overall defensive scheme?
I can start this one off, Matt.
Go ahead.
I feel like
I was tired of hearing Matt talk anyway. So go ahead.
One thing that Lance Guidry said that really stuck out to me during his, first initial media press conference or availability was his biggest thing is adjusting, using everything he's learned from the past to adjust. Whether something's going wrong in a game or he sees something in practice, he's always going to adjust. And I feel like he said he wouldn't be able to install his whole defense in the springtime. So I feel like that's not going to be able to happen with him saying that, along with injuries. But I feel like down the road, if anything goes south, obviously with Kevin Steele, we saw the repeated same issue: big plays, big plays, big plays. Kind of nothing seemed to change. So I feel like Coach Guidry, his biggest thing is saying, hey, I adjust on the fly, whether it's from something I learned today or whether it's something I learned from 10 years ago. So I feel like that'll be the kind of biggest thing with him, would be adjustments. Not really, hey, get this defense down packed, but hey, where can we utilize our players the best? Okay, if this isn't working, if this isn't working, if this is working. So I feel like that'll be kind of the biggest thing for him, just adjusting on the fly with his personnel, kind of what's going on with the game.
All right, and football coverage wouldn't be complete if we didn't dive into some recruiting news every day, and now we do today. And after, God, I guess I would be accurate if I said weeks of chasing one of the top defensive linemen in the country, a gentleman by the name of David Stone, Izubee himself struck gold and was able to have a nice little conversation with David Stone. And Izubee, he's kind of been off the radar for a while because so much talk about all these other schools, Michigan State and a bunch of others. I mean, everybody in the country is recruiting him, and there has not been any Miami talk, but you were able to talk to him, and you've got the story on the website today for everybody to read. But what you found out is that Miami is still very much in his picture.
Yeah, you said weeks. That's an understatement. It's been months since I spoke or seen anything from David Stone, but the phone call with him was really good. I got to see kind of where his mind was at with Miami, and the biggest takeaway I have for that conversation was he told me he wants to see how well the IMG guys do at Miami. Obviously, he plays at IMG. He has one more year at IMG. He told me he's heard great things so far from guys like Francis, Antonio, Jaden Wayne, who plays on the defensive line, as well as him, and Riley Williams. So he just wants to see, hey, how good are my guys going to do at Miami? Another thing that he told me that was kind of interesting was his relationship with Jason Taylor, or the lack thereof it. He hasn't really spoken with Jason Taylor since him being appointed as a defensive end coach, but that's something he really wants to work on, and that's one reason he wants to come visit Miami. So I really want to see if Miami can get him on campus, because I feel like you check Twitter, he say, hey, I'm going to this school this week, hey, I'm going to this school next week. So he's had a really busy spring, and if Miami can get him on campus and kind of start developing that relationship with Jason Taylor, because he told me him and Coach Cristobal's relationship is second to none. He loves what Coach Cristobal has told about him, about his family, the plan they have for him, on and on. So my biggest thing is I want to see him develop a strong relationship with Coach Jason Taylor. And he said one of the biggest factors in his recruitment is going to be the relationship he has with his position coach, because that's who's going to, develop him and grow him to the man that he wants to be. So really excited to hear, he still has a lot of interest in Miami despite hearing otherwise from elsewhere. So just get him on campus, I feel like, is that next big step for the Hurricanes.
An interesting element of that is, there's pluses. There's pluses when you have a great recruiting class or get elite players like Miami did in this last cycle. But there's also could be some negatives if those guys don't have success, because the next class and the one after that, they are watching to see how these elite players that Miami was able to recruit in 2023, are they getting to play as true freshmen? Are they being developed? How do they look on the field in the fall? These kids are going to be watching all that. And, Francis Magoa, Samson Okinola, it's important that these guys, Mark Fletcher, you can go on and on, have success. Ray Joseph, Robbie Washington. I mean, there's a lot of good players in this class, in this freshman class. Their success in the fall, Izubee, I'll come back to you on this, is unquestionably going to impact the success of this recruiting class in 2024.
Yeah, even with 2025 guys, you mentioned Mark Fletcher. I spoke with Brian Lewis not too long ago. He said his direct kind of factor of Miami and his recruitment is going to be how good Mark Fletcher does as a freshman, as a sophomore. And a lot of these 2024 kids, 2025 kids say, hey, Miami's got this really good class of 2023 kids. What can they do with them now? Obviously, Cristobal didn't have his guys last year. It was a rebuilding year, but he has his guys now for the most part, from the incoming freshmen, from the transfer portal. So really just the success on the field from the guys that he brought in. Are they going to succeed, or is it going to be the same Miami team last year when he, quote unquote, didn't have his guys? So I feel like the success from the new guys is just going to be one of the biggest factors in this recruitment. We all know NIL plays a big factor into it, relationships. But hey, if these guys aren't putting up the numbers or showing any progress, then I feel like that's gonna have a real bad look for the 2024 and 2025 class.
All right, so we're thrilled that we get to give you guys a David Stone update today. He really is very highly touted, very highly regarded defensive lineman, and it's good to know that Miami is still alive in that battle, and obviously that's going to go on for a while. We also have an update on River Rouge, Michigan, 4-star wide receiver Nick Marsh. He's finally received the Miami offer that he's been waiting on for some time. He is the number 56 recruit in the 2024 class. I know we already talked about basketball, but there will be a media availability today in Albany. We will bring you coverage of that this afternoon, so stay tuned for that. And then, like I said, I'll be heading up there, and we will have full coverage on Friday of the Canes in Albany and the first round game against Drake. And I guess that's going to do it for today for Good Morning CaneSport. We thank you so much for starting out your day with us once again. If you like this channel, like this show, hit your subscribe button, hit your like button. It does help us with the algorithms at YouTube, which can be a little complicated, but it helps us grow our audience and find more Canes fans out there in the YouTube universe to come be a part of the show every single day. And if you are not yet a subscriber to CaneSport.com, please come on board, join our website. Your subscriptions allow us to do what we do every single day. So for Izubee, Charles, and Matt Shodell, I'm Gary Ferman. Thank you once again, everybody. Have a great day. Go Canes in Albany, and we'll see you next time.